Hello everyone, I'm John Feldt. Welcome to the NCGA FMC Ag Weather Outlook, recorded on April 13th, 2014. I'll start off by looking at precipitation over the last 7 days. The areas in green and yellow have experienced the most precipitation. The areas in yellow, matter of fact, 2 inches of liquid precipitation over southern parts of Wisconsin, and it's been warm, so it's been in the form of liquid precipitation over most of this area. You can see over Ohio and parts of Indiana, area that's been pretty active, and a lot of precipitation over the early spring months so far. Some moderate rainfall in that area in green is generally from a half inch to perhaps an inch and a half of rainfall. Now, if you look at the percent of normal, even though there were some areas that received above normal rainfall, and that's what I just talked about, sort of looking back here, you can see more areas are shaded in red and orange, and that's below normal precipitation. So for the entire U.S. corn region, growing region, generally last week was a dry week, and that dark red there in parts of northern Illinois, large part of northern Illinois, parts of Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, that was well below normal precipitation for the week. Now, if we go back further, now this is when I like to look at the major trends past 30 days. And what we see here is we see this area of red here and the darker shades of orange sort of outlining it here. And this is the area that's been quite dry, only anywhere from maybe 25 to 75% of normal. And in some areas, that area in red, Nebraska, southeast Nebraska, parts of Kansas, only 25% of normal over the last 30 days. We need some additional precipitation in that region. Further east, over the eastern Corn Belt, you see some blue, and that's above normal. Now, I can handle some above normal precipitation as long as the trend doesn't consider. I'd rather go into summertime with a little bit more rain, sort of an insurance. Now, on the other hand, North Dakota, been pretty wet in that area due to a lot of snow, and that pattern that we've had all winter sort of gone down right through here, so that area has also been quite wet. Well, it was certainly nice to see warming temperatures this week. This is the average temperature for the last 7 days. It's been a while since we've seen yellow across the area. And look at this, we have some of that orange and red. So temperatures 10 to 15 degrees above normal in that area that's been very dry. Nebraska, parts of Iowa, Kansas, and even elsewhere, further off to the east, areas that have had a lot of snow experienced a pleasantly warm week. So I wish it could last another week, but unfortunately it doesn't look like it is going to. But at least last week was certainly quite pleasant as far as temperatures go. So where is additional rain needed? Well, really, when we look at the entire U.S. Corn Belt, there's really just a pocket there, Nebraska and Iowa, maybe surrounding regions, but really Nebraska and Iowa are the areas where we could use some more precipitation. And most of that region's 3 to 6 inches, so all around there, Wisconsin, North Dakota, Illinois, over into Ohio, most of Missouri, we're okay. But that one region, keep that in mind, we need some additional precipitation in that region. Now, a lot of snow melted last week. You can see there's very little snow on the ground now, even over Minnesota and Wisconsin. And for those of you up there, I wish I had good news, but it looks like there's going to be more snow coming up. We've really been going back and forth, and I know it's been a very harsh and long winter, but at least one more round it looks like this week. Now, if you're interested in stream flow, just a real quick snapshot here. Red is indicating below normal stream flow. Blue is above normal. Now, all this is blue here, high stream flow, that's due to the snow melt over the last week. Now the tributaries coming in from Iowa, remember it's real dry there, so tributaries are running very low, thus not really expecting flooding at this time on the middle part of the Mississippi River. Now this week we do have a jet stream, one more system moving through. Last 2 weeks we've had one system per week, producing on the average of around an inch of rain. 2 weeks ago it was a lot more over parts of the Midwest, but this week it's one coming through, and it's going to be lifting up to the northeast. It's sort of right where that black line is, following that track this week and producing a round of rain primarily early this week. A sign of spring, the dew point, the low-level moisture. Now, sometimes I talk about the entire atmospheric column moisture. This is the low-level moisture. And being out there in the field, I'm sure you're familiar with dew point. If not, generally when you get to 60 degrees, and that's what's outlined here in the light blue, that's getting up there. That's springtime moisture, and get up to 70, you're way up there. But it's beginning to feel a little bit moisture in the air when you get to be 60 degrees. So we are pulling that well up into the Corn Belt, now the Eastern Corn Belt, and that's going to be a focus for additional precipitation early this week. So the next 7 days, here's your rainfall forecast. Looks like the most action will be over the south central and southeast U.S., but there will be an enhanced band of precipitation over parts of the Great Lakes region. But other than that, it looks like a fairly quiet week. Some modest precipitation from Missouri over eastward into Ohio, but nothing excessive at this time. Now, I mentioned there was some additional snow, and this is coming just from a model, and it's going to probably change from time to time, so don't get real hung up on the exact amounts. The area, though, in pink and white is showing above 8 inches of a wet late spring snow, late season snow in Wisconsin, in an area that's got a lot of snow this year. So that's going to have a ramification on stream flow. It's going to give us a little bit higher vulnerability for spring snowmelt flooding over the upper Mississippi River Basin. And we could see some snow that melts very quickly, probably won't stay on the ground in Iowa as well. Again, I think this is going to be just a mix of rain and snow, a little bit in the air. And again, this model could change a lot as we go through the week. Now, I mentioned spring flood potential, and I just wanted to real quickly point out yellow dots are real high stream flow, but not in flood. The orange are minor flooding. Red is moderate flooding, so that's more significant. So the red dots are the more significant. And this is pretty typical for this time of year. We're getting some minor flooding here and there. We're getting some high flows due to snowmelt. And really the next 2 to 3 weeks are going to be very critical that we get this additional snow. And then if we would get additional heavy rain, it could increase the threat for flooding. Okay, so let's go through our sequence. I'm always trying to give you a heads up. And remember I told you that we're going to send a trend alert out on this cold weather coming in. It's been a while back I mentioned that right in the middle of this nice mild weather. I sent that to you. But it's moving in now. I said it'd be this weekend, and it's moving in. It's going to overspread the region. And this week it looks like it's going to be a cool week, especially over the central part of the Corn Belt. You can sort of see the blue temperatures are well below normal. That purple there, I said it might even be as much as 15 degrees below normal, and that's pushing down into North Dakota. But as far south as Missouri, we're still looking at around 5, maybe even 8 degrees below normal. So it looks like it's going to be trending on the cool side or the cold side this week over most of our region. Now, if we go out to the 6 to 10 day, it's beginning to modify, but we're still in that pattern. This goes into the middle part of the month of April, still sort of cool as we get into that 6 to 10, but not as much. It begins to diminish. Now, the precipitation forecast this week, I think the area that is really the snow forecast right in here and some rain further off to the south. That's the area that could definitely use it. I mentioned that area could use it, so that'll be welcome in this region. Not as much so in this region. But other than that, it looks pretty quiet. The yellow is below normal, so the upper Midwest, it looks like below normal precipitation, near normal in the Ohio Valley. So really just that one area that is expected to get above normal precipitation. Now, I wanted to look out a little bit further in April because this is such a critical time for everyone, the 23rd through the 28th, and this is an upper jet stream, and areas of blue are saying that the jet stream is further south than normal, and that usually means cool. Areas of pink are above normal jet stream position, and that's usually warm. So I don't see much of that. If you look over most of the region, it's not shaded in. I think that's saying that we're going to trend back close to normal for the latter part of April. So we're going to work this cold air through, then we're going to get back to normal. And what that would generally mean is adequate precipitation, but probably not either a wet anomaly or a dry anomaly as we get into that period. So here's April 23rd through 28th temperatures. You can see that blue has really diminished, and we're even getting a little bit of that yellow, which is above normal, but most of the region is near normal temperatures as we get to the latter part, starting about the 20th or so, 23rd, right through the end of the month. Precipitation, look at this. We don't see those strong bullseye of either green or yellow, so normal precipitation. So it's been a while since I would just say normal weather. Not this week. This is going to be unusually cool, We've had our unusually heavy rain, but it does look like as we get into the latter part of the month, more normal conditions are expected. As far as soil temperatures go, because of the warmer temperatures, the yellow here, which is actually 60 degrees, look, it's pushed pretty far north. Oops, excuse me about that, right in here. And if we go a little bit further, this week you can actually see it dips down to the south. So that cool air is going to have some impact on soil temperatures, upper soil temperatures, and actually reduce them about 5 degrees or so. So we're not going to have that continued warming pushing further north and warming soils this week. If anything, it's going to cool a bit as we go through the week. Soil moisture changes. The areas of blue and darker blue are areas where soil moisture will get wetter right in here. But everywhere else, it looks like it's going to be drying soils, modestly drying soils in the areas in brown. So really just a small percentage of the Corn Belt, parts of Iowa into Wisconsin, northern Illinois, soils getting wetter. Everywhere else, it looks like generally modestly drying soils. And with temperatures not that warm, I don't think they're going to be extreme drying. As far as weekly hazards, if you're out and about, which everyone will be this week, I'm sure, below normal temperatures over the upper Midwest. The area shaded in the hash line is a potential for flooding. And in Michigan, we have some heavy snow. And I think that's going to extend up into Wisconsin as well. So no severe storms this week. It looks like we're back towards a week where our hazards are going to be cold temperatures and the possibility of snow. So here's your bottom line. Colder air is now working in, and it's going to last most of this week. There will be some heavier rain and snow over a small part of the Corn Belt, primarily the Great Lakes region into the upper Midwest, near normal precipitation elsewhere. And it looks like once we get this cold air through this week, it looks like temperatures and precipitation will be trending back to normal next week and continuing through the end of April. Now here's my email. You can always email me with any questions or let me know what you like here, or if you'd like something else for me to focus on, john@bluewateroutlook.com. It's been nice talking with you. Hope you have a nice week, and I will be briefing you again